I'm getting ready to lay down. But, as is my practice, I was corrected by somebody much more learned than I about an error I made in my last video, saying it was an error of somebody else. I firmly believe in once you learn, you correct the record. First, I'm going to concede the error because I don't want that to be buried in this video, but I want to give an example of how that works. I mean, this is real life, but in more real life practice. And I'm not going to say, oh, I made that error because I don't feel well. And I'm not thinking, no, I genuinely had this wrong. Don't know where I picked up this error, but I got schooled on it. And I won't forget it now. So, first and foremost, there's no qualifications. See, when I concede something, I don't make qualifications. I was wrong when I said in my prior video in critiquing my alleged replacement's minutes that he was in error in including motions that died for lack of second. No qualifications. I had that wrong. I don't know where I picked that up from. And it's making me want to investigate something. There was a motion at the 2018 convention, because this so rarely happens, that died for a lack of a second. To be utterly honest with you, my mentor in preparing good minutes that are well formatted, whether she thought so or not, is Alicia Matson. And every time I screwed up, she let me know, and I never forgot. And I just don't remember her ever recording these things. Maybe that's where I picked it up. I'm not trying to blame Alicia. I'm just trying to figure out where I picked this up from. Because this wasn't something that I was at all uncertain on. Like, I was positive I was correct. But we all need to get served a little humble pie. So, on that, I done messed up. And now hopefully you won't. That doesn't mean that those minutes aren't a mess, because they are. But on that point, he was right. I was wrong. Now that that's out of the way, I kind of want to go off on a little bit of a tangent. I don't like burying concessions when I was wrong. That's why I did that right up front. What was I getting to? Oh, I think I know what that was what I was conflating that with. And I hope I'm right on this point. Now I'm starting to second guess some things. Motions that are made but withdrawn with the unanimous consent of the assembly, those don't get recorded. And I think that's what I was conflating that with. But let me tell you my heresy. Now, I know that, but I record them anyway. When I first started recording them, I put a footnote saying, I know this isn't orthodox, but this is why I record them. And I'll tell you why. And even though I don't think I've ever been national secretary where there's a motion that died for a lack of a second, because I think if I were, I probably would have recorded it too, but put a footnote, which would have been wrong, that it wasn't necessary. And let me tell you why I record motions that are withdrawn with the unanimous consent of the assembly, and why that same logic for me would follow through, even though I once thought they were both wrong. And I'm going to say a million times on this, I was wrong on that other video on that point. To me, in a political party, I would do things differently in a different kind of organization where the members are really watching their electeds. I think they need to know the motions that were made, even if they didn't end up getting heard. But I think that's where I conflated those two. But I learned something today. I like learning new things. I don't like screwing up, but that comes with learning things. So on that point, my apologies. I was wrong on that point. Now let me let you know how this works out in practice. This, oops, once you find out you done screwed up, you admit it. I'm platform committee chair right now. Platform committee can be very high pressure. It's a large committee. It can be very contentious. Richard Brown has attended a few meetings. At one meeting, I don't even remember what the motion was, but I had to make a snap decision, and I ruled it out of order. Richard, and then we moved on. Like, it turned out not to be a big deal anyway. Nobody appealed. Like, it wasn't important. Richard texted me and gave me the citation, and we ended up having an extended discussion about it later, where I was incorrect in my ruling. Now, the committee had already moved on. We were over it. But I consider service on committees and watching these videos when you're in a position of trust, which I think I am, to be a learning experience. And I didn't want anyone on the platform committee to remember that ruling, go and serve on a committee themselves, and perpetuate my mistake. So even though it was over, about 45 minutes after that, when there was a pause in the proceedings, I said to the platform committee, and it was Star Child that made the motion, by the way, you know, I made a ruling earlier today that I was given some information on by Mr. Brown. I looked it up, and my ruling was wrong. Star Child, as chair, I apologize to you. Is there some, I forgot what the motion was, but I thought perhaps there was still some desire he had that might have been stifled by my ruling. So after I apologized to Star Child, which you're not required to do as a chair of anything, and very few will 45 minutes later admit they were wrong, I asked him, is there still something having to do with that motion that you would like to do? Because I would like to make my error right. I did wrong by you. by ruling it out of order. I've done this at least 3 times, maybe 2 this time, this platform committee. I believe that's best practice because otherwise, people who trust me will hear that and perpetuate the error. And you know what? Because of that one mistake, I may even take down that video and re-record it when I'm a bit calmer, but also because the ending got cut off. So there's a couple reasons. But maybe not. I'm not trying to bury my error. So I think I'm just going to put a pinned comment. My concern is someone's going to watch just that video and not this one and perpetuate that error. And I don't want that to happen. Trying to think of the best way to fix. I think I'm just going to put a pinned comment on that video, referring people to this one, but also saying I was wrong on this point. I think that's the best way to handle. So let me encourage you. God, what was the other thing? Like I was 99% sure I was right on it. I don't think it had to do with parliamentary procedure. I think it had to do with the national bylaws. That's a good idea. Offer. I don't know if the video title is too long to do that because I'm long-winded in my titles. I'll try that though too. Crap, what was the last thing I was so sure on? It wasn't a parliamentary thing. Can't remember. It wasn't that long ago too, and I was so embarrassed. Oh, it was in platform. It was in platform. In platform committee. And I was kind of a little bit of a jerk about it. And I apologized. In platform committee, there was a proposed change to the platform of wording that I would have sworn like up and down was an exact quote from the statement of principles. If there's one thing you guys know that I know pretty well, like a lot, it's the statement of principles. It was inconceivable to me that I misremembered that. Inconceivable. But I was wrong. And it was Omar who challenged me later and said, and that was another opportunity to apologize. It's always good to get used to the taste of humble pie. But yeah, on the statement of principles, how did I misremember that? Like, do you know how many presentations I've given on the statement of principles? What this reminds me of is people think like eyewitness testimony is the best. It really isn't. Your mind can firmly believe it remembers something that never happened, or it's filled in gaps. But your mind just does that. And you would testify 100%, as far as you knew, truthfully to witnessing things that you didn't. Eyewitness testimony can be very unreliable. And it's this phenomena, part of the human condition, to me, part of the solution is always, when you made a factual claim, not an opinion claim, because opinions always can be wrong. And if we are apologizing for our opinions, that's probably all we'd be saying. But if you make a factual claim that you later find out is bullshit, own it. Own it. So I found out I was wrong on this literally 1 minute before I hit record. Because I don't like errors. I don't like things that I said confidently that were wrong to go uncorrected, because you're also wronging the other person. And in my own religious tradition, once you know you've wronged somebody, if you can make it right immediately by correcting the record, you do so. Chuck? My computer did some. Okay, am I back? My computer froze. That is so weird. Okay, I'm done with that. That was so weird. Like, I thought we blew a fuse in our house. Lily, go back to the beginning, but I'll repeat it again. In my earlier video, I said, when you're doing minutes, you absolutely are not required by Roberts to record it, and I actually was stronger than that. I actually said it was wrong, not required. I actually said it was wrong, and I was wrong. That you don't record motions that died for a lack of a second. And because I was so worked up over how generally terrible those minutes were, and I do not apologize for that. I mean, not the work up part. Those minutes were terrible. But I do apologize for being wrong on that point. And because I was so worked up, I was probably, I mean, I haven't rewatched the video. I was probably a bit of a jerk when I was being wrong. I mean, it's okay to be very confident when you're right. But when it turns out something you said confidently was wrong, you look like a jerk. So I probably really, like, now that I know I'm wrong on that, it's probably pretty embarrassing. But those minutes are terrible for lots of other reasons, just not that one. And now I'll never forget that. There's nothing like a little public takedown to make you remember something. Unless, you go senile or something. I don't know if the person, oh, well, it was public. So thank you, JJ, for the correction. It makes me a better parliamentarian, and it makes me a better person. Now, I'm going to end the video so I could rush over to the original video, try what Offer said to do in the title, and put a correction in the show notes.